Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley in Washington, D.C. One aspect of what Phil Berg is saying is the U.S. Constitution is a written constitution, and that was a big step forward at the time. The British, you'll remember, claimed to have a constitution, and you said to the British, all right, fine, let's see your constitution. Well, it exists as a body of precedents and ways of doing things. Okay, fine. Then there's at least got to be some unofficial compilation of what the British Constitution comes down to. Well, no. Why not? Because some of the precedents are secret. Some of them are, Star Chamber proceedings from the 1500s to the 1600s, and you're not allowed to know them. They're covered by the Official Secrets Act. So you've got secret constitutional precedents ruling what goes on. The only alternative to that is a written constitution where you can see what's what out in the light of day. And that, of course, means then that if there are parts of the written constitution that you don't like, right? How about the part about people not being able to accept titles of nobility from foreign governments and still serve the United States in offices of trust and profit, right? That was the one that a lot of people came close to violating when they talked about putting Sir Colin Powell in the White House, or any of these other guys, Sir Brent Scowcroft, Sir Henry Kissinger, and on and on and on, right? This Sir Caspar Weinberger and so forth. They all got their titles after they left government, as far as I know. But if you have somebody today who's got a title of nobility from a foreign government and is serving as a federal official, that's unconstitutional. And there's a reason for this. It's not just some quirky, quaint old thing, right? Quaint was the word given by the Bushmen to the Geneva Convention. Well, too bad. It's illegal. So when you get down to this thing about the natural-born citizen, that's serious. There's a reason. And this essay from the American thinker by Mrs. Ichinga on Obama as a figment of British post-colonial Africa, this gets a little bit to the core of the matter, right, that we're bringing in a whole worldview which is fundamentally not indigenous here, at least in North America, let's say. And again, I think that's Frantz Fanon is the key to the entire thing. Now, back to cap and trade. Again, this is the Waxman bill, H.R. 2454. You got to defeat it. You can go to various right-wing or indeed reactionary websites, at least let them do their work. Red State, for example, you can get a list of the fence sitters. There are 8 or 10 Republicans on the fence. There are even more Democrats, too many for me to go through here. But what you ought to do is go to these various websites, find out if your congressman is wavering on this bill, and get them to vote against it. This would be a great opportunity to deliver a stinging rebuff to Obama and his entire Malthusian gang, and to Pelosi and the rest of them. This is as important as the fight against the first round of the stimulus, the first round of the bailout, which was the issue back in October of 2008. Remember that big mobilization to try to stop the $700 billion going to the Wall Street banks. Well, this is an attempt to take about $700 billion out of the world of real production so that it can be used for various bailouts coming up in the future. And if you're going to make a call to a congressman, get yourself a twofer. The health care situation, we've talked about it over the past couple of weeks, right? I would say there are 2 things that you want to stress, or maybe 3. One is no rationing of care, no telling people they're going to die in order to save the bottom line of some health plan. The only way you can make savings in a national health care program is through a crash program, a Manhattan Project program to find cures for the various dread diseases. That gives you real savings. That gives you absolute real economic surplus that you can use then for various purposes. So unless they're talking about a crash program to find cures as an integral centerpiece of this entire thing, you're talking about the rationing of care. And that, of course, gets us into the Nuremberg area, high crimes against humanity, or if done on the largest scale, gets into genocide, now against the American people in the name of saving the bottom line. In California, under Schwarzenegger and the dysfunctional legislature in Sacramento. That crisis goes on, and they're talking about basically wiping out state Medicaid as well as welfare payments, just in time for the possible return in grand style of the H1N1 swine flu epidemic expected when the cold weather returns to the northern hemisphere, or at least a substantial possibility that that will be there. Conspiracies, of course, are always at work, and I know something about this, but the approach to this has got to be Hill-Burton criteria. We were told in 1946 that we needed 4.5 to 5.5 beds per 1,000 population. We're now down to 3.2. We need 500 to 1,000 hospitals rebuilt. 1,000 hospitals at 500 beds each would give us 500,000 beds. That would basically get us to the lower end of the Hill-Burton criteria, the lower end of what was considered desirable and necessary in 1946, 60-plus years ago, two-thirds of a century in the past. So let's catch up with Hill-Burton and then the crash program. Now, the other side of this is the Republicans obviously fear any government plan. I don't fear the government plan. I think you've got to remember now today that the healthcare is rationed by corporate executives, right? The current situation is the system is deregulated. It's for-profit. You can't sue an HMO. Your life depends on it. That's no good. And the HMOs spend money on their executives, their bloated pay packages, their lobbying, their advertising, and above all, dividends. And all of that, every dividend is taken out of the world of health care. So fine. We've got the U.S. Postal Service competing with FedEx and UPS. Let a government plan compete with the corporate bureaucrats. Maybe that gives us the chance of playing one group against another. I would always say a government bureaucrat is more susceptible to public pressure than a corporate bureaucrat who's deregulated and you can't sue him. At that point, what can you do? You can boycott the company and appeal to public opinion, but the government official is more vulnerable to public opinion than the corporate one. The other side of this is what Obama is doing, of course, is part of the derivatives bailout. Insurance, okay? As soon as I say insurance, you should be thinking AIG. The biggest insurance company in the world blew up because of what? Because of derivative speculation. The AIG London hedge fund with their $3 trillion of derivatives, and that has cost the taxpayer $180 billion, enough to pay for health care for quite a few years. We now will look at the catalog of other companies in the insurance world that are thought to be on the brink. Back in a minute.